Hey everybody, welcome back to the truth. Let's get into this video. So today for our offseason overview, we're gonna be talking about, of course, the Carolina Panthers. Um, I should start giving season overviews on how they've went. Not this season that just happened, the season before. They did perform better than this season. Look, kind of similar to the Bills. They've already made their changes, so I'm not gonna go out here and preach and stuff like that. They've already done it. I'd be preaching to the choir, basically, if that makes any sense. There's no point. Um, they've made their changes. They've already hired a head coach. They've already hired passing game coordinators and all of that. Um, I'm more here interested on how are they going to address free agency, because it really determines a lot on how they go out and address the team. Um, Look, some key free agents you can see on the right side: Derek Brown, Brian Burns, Frankie Louvu, C.J. Henderson, Shaquille Griffin, DJ Chark. Sorry, um, you have 30. They have 31. I shouldn't say you. They have $31 million in cap. Carolina fans, you don't have enough picks to cover right now. You don't have enough picks to cover the positional needs coming into this season or coming into this off season that needs to be covered. You're one pick short. Um, but it's not the end of the world. The big problem is, where do you spend your money? Do you spend majority of it on Brian Burns, or do you re-sign guys like Frankie Louvu, Shaquille Henderson, Shaquille Griffin, stuff like that, and then go kind of trade up a little bit in the draft and go get higher quality talent, or do you spend everything on Brian Burns? They're in a very sticky situation with how little cap they have compared to other teams who have had a way better season. Um, My best suggestion, if you were the Panthers, is if you don't sign Brian Burns, kind of use next year as a year like, hey, only you don't be the worst team in the league, but build and create a bunch of cap for next season to where you can really take leaps and bounds. Bryce Young will have three. Bryce Young will be in his third season, so he has years under his belt. He's had experience. You can really grow and really go after things. But here's the thing, though: you need to get him things. And I'll get more into that once I get in the draft, which is happening right now. So here's the simulated mock draft. The Panthers have 6 picks. With the first pick in the second round, pick 33, I drafted for the Carolina Panthers wide receiver out of South Carolina, Xavier Legette. Legette isn't this crazy route runner, but with size, with the frame he has at 6'3", 227, his speed, his special teams kick return ability, and his contested catch ability really makes you think like, hey, this guy could potentially be something. He's gonna get open. He's going to be a contested receiver. He's going to be a thing that the Panthers actually need. They need to address this receiving core. That's one of the positions that's like, hey, Bryce Young really struggled because of this. The receiving core really failed him. It wasn't the best. So having a guy who can go be a difference maker immediately is going to be really nice. Getting into the second pick 65, I drafted Chris Braswell, 6'3", 240. He's going to be kind of outside linebacker role. The one big knock on Chris is his lack of ability to bend and be fluid around the curve. He's not your typical, bendable, athletic outside linebacker. He's going to bring power. He's going to be a guy who's not going to be I shouldn't say he's not. He probably won't be the guy who will be the reason you get a lot of sacks and a lot of this. But what he does give you is his his ability to get after the rush and give lots of effort, and his explosiveness and strength. He's a strong guy, explosive guy, um, good hand movement. He's just not going to have the athletic bend that you want. Can he eventually develop that? Yes, I could see that, but I'm not going to say he will have that out the gate. But he's going to fill that outside linebacker role that someone needs to fill. I'm really happy this happened. With pick 101, Cedric Gray fell to North Carolina. 6'2", 235. I believe I've talked about him um, on this channel. I don't really remember. But here's the thing. Cedric Gray is a very active linebacker. He is going to be your inside linebacker. He's going to fill that role immediately. Like, you're not going to have problems with him. He's going to play the pass. He's going to play the rush really well. He's going to force fumbles. He's going to break passes up, get interceptions, tackles for loss. You can even rush him up the middle and get sacks. He's an all-around gadget player on the defense, which you can do a lot of different things with. Look, he's going to be a great piece that I like. 6'2", 235. You could bulk him up a little bit. I think he's still play amazing. Linebacker out of North Carolina. With the 140th pick, with the 4th pick overall for the Carolina Panthers, I took Zion Tuapoloifiti. Look, he was the best edge available. At that pick. That's my honest opinion. Like, at that pick, I was just like, hey, let's address this defensive end starter need. So that's who I went with. He's not consistent throughout his career. He's a flasher. He shows flashes. He has lots of talent, but he hasn't put it together. Good burst off the line of scrimmage. Really active in the passing lane. Gets his hands up, tries to bat balls, which is nice. That shows you're giving effort from him. He's really good with quickness. Right out the gate, you might be a rotational pass rusher or rotational rusher in general. But if you can develop him, he can actually be a really nice piece to this Carolina defense on this D-line. He just needs time and work. He has what people like to call the talent, or the potential is a high ceiling. You just have to put it together, and that's the thing. So now addressing the depth, I wasn't able to get outside linebacker, but I was able to address defensive tackle and center. With the 164th pick, I chose Justin Ebukebi. I think that's how you say his name. Don't quote me on that. 6'4", 296, I believe. Look, he's a big space eater. He can kind of play that defensive end / tackle role if you need him to. I mean, if you're really pushing it, he can even play the nose. I wouldn't necessarily put him in one position. You can kind of move him around. It just depends on how you want to use him. But he's like I said, 6'4", 294, big guy. Can be a space eater. He's going to help bring depth. He's going to help stop the run, stuff like that. Stuff that I've already hammered through on this channel. Let's get into the last pick. Pick 179. I drafted offensive center Drake Nugget, and it was either between outside linebacker and center, and there were no outside linebackers. They were just centers. Or there's center, a couple offensive linemen, receiver, stuff like that. But at that point, it was just like, hey, let's take this. 6'1", 300 pounds, center from Michigan. He's gonna help in the run game. He's 6'1", 300 pounds. He's quicker than his size gives him, but he's not gonna go top. He's not gonna go crazy high. He is what you think he is. Can he become something more? Yes. I'm not saying he's set on this. It's just this is where he's at. This is where he's at in the moment, and this is what you're probably gonna get. I do want to talk about some possibilities here with Carolina, with their free agents. So getting back to this, I'm going to pull up the entire Carolina Panthers free agents. So if I go to Carolina, update, have 1 second. Here's everybody. This is the projections. This is what they think. This is what the market value is per Sports Track right now. Corner CJ Hendrickson, which I do think you can let leave and be okay. Receiver DJ Chark, I don't know if you necessarily resign DJ just because of how lackluster the receiving core was. Frankie Louvu, I could see the Carolina Panthers wanting to bring back Frankie Louvu for about $11 million. You still have $20 million left. You can do some things. You can be okay. And you can extend it for a long time. And then if you knocks out inside linebacker or linebacker, which they had Frankie Louvu in such a weird role this year. But if you do move him that inside linebacker role, well, now you kind of take out that, and now you can go address outside linebacker in the draft, and then that fixes the problem of having too few picks. If you do resign Frankie Louvu, if you resign Derek Brown, you don't address the starting need, but you address depth, and then you can use that pick to. Well, let me talk about the pros and cons of signing Frankie Louvu. You sign Frankie Louvu. The pros is you took care of an interior line or a linebacker. The other thing is you do have to pay $11 million in cap. That's kind of the thing that goes against you. And it's not necessarily, I'm not saying you should pay the guy. It's just, hey, you have to cough up money and compared to a rookie. That's kind of the nick. So that's going to cost you about 11 over time. And then the good news is you knock out linebacker spot. You can address outside linebacker, and that's where you max out. And it's a little different for defensive tackle. Instead of knocking out a starter, which is more impactful, you knock out a depth need, which I mean basically means like you can. The way they've set up this team is where you can lose Derek Brown and still kind of be okay, but you do need to fill that hole. But if you do bring Derek Brown, you don't have depth. You have depth at that position now, and you're kind of really okay. Derek Brown, good defensive tackle for Carolina. They've kind of brought guys in though to kind of fill their need last year, and that wasn't bad. It just had their struggles. He'll officially be a free agent in 2025, but I think they have a void year this year, if I'm not wrong. Look, he's also going to cost you. Actually, he's going to cost you more, about 11.5, maybe $12 million in cap. So I can see why you kind of avoid Derek Brown. But also, if you want to, hey, you knock that out, you kind of have a good group of defensive tackles who you can kind of continue to build with, and then go address outside linebacker. The depth. Brian Burns, look, no one's sugarcoating this. If you resign Brian Burns, it's a great signing. You do have to cough up 21, maybe 22, 21 and a half, maybe $22 million this year, or consecutively, multiple years. It sucks because that's a lot of money, especially when you only have 30-something million. Now you can always restructure contracts, but at this point in this franchise, there's no point in restructuring. There's no advantage you really get from it instead of just building a better team now. If you do, look, you fill a major hole for Carolina going into this offseason. You secure up that defensive end spot and you build around Brian Burns. And that puts a lot of less pressure on you. He takes care of that. He's going to produce. He's a great defensive end or outside linebacker, technically, depending on the defense you want to go with. Look, he's great. I mean, you're not going to regret it. Then you kind of, like I said before, then you kind of feel you can go attack that depth outside linebacker role. Now, here's what you could also do. You could also spend a little bit of money. You could spend about about $23 million, re-signed Derek Brown and Frankie Louvu. Well, now, hey, you signed two pieces of your defense that were kind of impactful for you. If when used in the right way, now you knock out inside linebacker and defensive tackle, and then you can address outside linebacker while having an extra pick to where you can trade up in the draft and go out and go get a more talented player. You know, maybe you do get some guys to take a pay cut. Things can change. I'd say these aren't set values. It's just kind of what's the market value right now. Sometimes players go for the market value. Sometimes they want a little bit higher. Sometimes they'll take a pay cut to play for the team. It just depends on how the player is. But there are definitely directions they can go. It's just a little handicapped. The one thing I don't see the Carolina Panthers doing is trading for somebody. I don't think that's smart. Just because you have a lot of work. I think you built through the draft. I think you sign the free agents you can, who you like, who are kind of culture pieces, who are guys who you think will help either develop young talent or be key pieces in that team later down the road, whether that is having Brian Burns or Frankie Louvu or Derek Brown or GJ Chark or CJ Henderson later down the road or not. Guys who I don't think are going to probably be back. I could be wrong about this, but guys who I don't think are going to be back, I think it's CJ Chark. I don't think with how that receiving core panned out, I can't imagine you run it back. And then if you do draft receivers, then that's kind of a loaded classroom. Why bring that? I mean, yes, you get better, but at the end of the day, it's kind of a little bit of a waste because right now his market value is $11 million in cap, and you have $20 million left. So I wouldn't necessarily go recommend that. If you do spend kind of key money, go get a guy who can make a difference at receiver. Like a true, no offense to DJ Chark, but like a Brandon Ayuk, like those top guys. That's my stance on the Carolina Panthers. Let me know what y'all think. Do you agree with some of my takes? I kind of went on a deeper spill. Do you like this different direction I am going with this video? Kind of digging more in depth with it than just hitting rumors, if there are any, or news. I already talked about season overviews in the draft. Or do you want me to kind of delve into free agency more, talk about this, get more in depth with these teams, which I'll do. I don't mind. Other than that, thank you all for watching. Let me know in the comments down below, and I will see y'all next time.